Since we do have, you mentioned the changeover, I got some reading material here. May 4th article, the scientists give their opinion about the EPA curbs on coal burning. Well, in a word, it'll save thousands of lives. And then a little definition on fly ash and the constituents of coal ash, and it's a really long list of really hard pronounced nasty names. And then for the management team, May 11th article, the Fortune 500 companies are just, over half of them have green initiatives internally. And they are finding that it's much better to just go ahead and purchase green energy directly from a prairie wind, for an example, and bypass you. The reason I bring this up is because I know we did in the past miss some opportunities with Google and with Facebook not coming here because we didn't have enough renewable energy, so they went to Iowa. And your presentation when looking for the job, talking about bringing in more corporate, larger energy users. And so it would seem to be a little bit more difficult, and I hope that you start showing up to this was in San Francisco, and it was last week. This is a year ago. You probably know this information. It's LES and their advantages of switching over their solar system that they've purchased into and the savings and that kind of thing. And all this is an urgent need to shift. Well, I want to let you know out of the 4 suggestions of this, you have over half of them done. Be customer focused. You've done a very good job and you've won awards with that. Engage the community. Engage with the community. You've started that in the last few years and that's been good. Acting as an incubator. You need, I think, a bit of work on that and bringing in new technologies and incubating those and figuring them out like he was talking about, working with seasons. Actively pursuing decoupling. That's decoupling economic prosperity from resource use, especially in the context of non-renewable. The fact that you use so much resources, you are the pinnacle in our society, and that's why we come here trying to change. We've been asked in the past, why aren't you worried about transportation and the pollution they put out and blah, 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 blah. Well, we have to convert you over first, so then our electric cars can then be plugged in with the Tesla batteries. I just brought this for you too. You can't order any because they're sold out for 2 years, so tough luck there. But that immediately will lead you to energy efficiency. Your bottleneck on the grid, energy efficiency, will eliminate the need for you to generate power. I really wish you would take the responsibility of delivering power and get out of the responsibility of making power. As a user, I'm going to use power how I want, and as producers, they can then adhere to that. And your job, I think, is to distribute that power, and then you're out of the risks of price fluctuation. You could care less what natural gas would cost if you were not in the generation of energy, and you let private companies do that. You would anyway. And so I just want to point that out there. Oh, and then Tuesday.
That's about it.
That's it? That's all I get? I just wanted to make a comment on Tuesday.
What do you want to comment on Tuesday?
Yeah,
20
because
seconds.
I just wanted to make a mention. You introduced Seth Voorhees, our lobbyist, and he made a couple comments which I think is interesting. The Congress voted on more amendments in the last 2 months than it did in the last 2 years, which he then said could be good or bad. Bad because they get into areas they shouldn't, and we all chuckled. On the subject of taxing municipal bonds, he said the big issue with that is the President and the Speaker of the House agree. When they both agree, that becomes an issue for all of us. And then on the subject of nuclear waste, so the federal government can live up to the responsibility by taking the waste that they should. So he seems more confident in Congress to handle nuclear waste than making tax policy for municipal bonds. Well, personally, I know that our government is there to tax and not to handle the nuclear waste.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
So
it.
I just want to point that as kind of an entrenched point of view that he has, and kind of be careful. I know you touted his achievements of being there a long time, but he seems to have an entrenched point of view that the federal government's good for nuclear waste, but not good for other things. And I just want to point that out.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no other comments, that concludes our meeting.